Hi everybody, it's Marcy and welcome back for part 2 of the File Folder Folio / Lapbook File Folder Folio Journal that I'm making. Today's video will probably be pretty quick, but I'm just going to jump right in. You can see I got all of the papers put on, the 4 panels that I was talking about. So this will be the front cover, the back cover, and then the inside top covers. Okay, so what I need to do today or next is I want to go ahead and get my my tie closures put in that I will use to keep my lap book all pretty closed when it's not in use. And the way I'm going to do this is I will be making holes on this panel and this panel. Okay, so I'll flip them open, and that is that front panel. And I'm going to first simply mark, if I can find my pencil, the center, which is 4.5. And I'm going to go over half an inch from the edge. So right there will be where I put my first hole. And then this, which is my back cover, this panel. And again, I need to be to the outside. So again, we're going to mark the center, which is 4.5. And I'm going to mark it at half an inch from, I'm marking it half an inch from the spine edge. Okay, now I am going to use my crocodile. If you don't have a crocodile, well, I'm going to be placing eyelets. If you don't have eyelets or don't use eyelets, and of course you can always make your tie closure a completely different way. This is just my preferred method of doing it. And the only thing I don't like, I really prefer my handheld crocodile. It just won't reach down as far as this one will. But my handheld is really much easier for me to use. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the eyelets in. All right, that one took. Okay, so got that eyelet in. And now let's do the same thing here. And these eyelets I am placing to go ahead and put the tie closure that I will be using for, my eyelet ran away, the tie closure I'll be using on this folio. Okay. And it felt like that one took. All right, now I got them to work. Okay. So now I've got 2 pieces of trim. This is just seam binding. And I'm going to feed it through from the inside to the outside. And I'm going to use this paper clip to help me get it started. And I've trimmed mine to about, or I've cut mine at about 16 inches. That will be too long and I will need to cut it off. But the reason I'm doing this now is because I don't really want to have knots or anything. And this way, doing it this way, I can, okay, and this one apparently I'm going to feed from the outside to the inside. Not that it makes a bit of difference. Actually went in easier that way. Instead of tying a knot, I can actually glue these, and then I will have papers on top of them, which will hide the icky side of the eyelet, and then all we'll have is these tie wraps coming out and around. I'm going to be sure they're roughly the same length. Like you can see, they're really too long and they'll need to be trimmed off, and that's fine. I will do that when the journal is done, but I want to get these on here before I have a bad habit of forgetting to put these things under, putting them on first so that I can not have to have visible knots or anything. So I'm just gluing those down with some Fabri-Tac, and then they will be glued further when I add paper on top. So get those good and glued, but try to not pull it back up with my fingers. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to do is the journal that will end up going right here in the center. I like to make them as removable, so sort of traveler's notebook style. So, and you could certainly do Midori binding, but on this one, I'm going to use, again, the seam binding, and what I will end up doing is wrapping this around and the journal, after we make it, will be able to slide right under this seam binding, and then it can tie at the top here, sort of like a tassel, but it'll be a bow instead. So what I want to do is I don't actually want to glue this. Well, actually, the outside could be. As long as I leave plenty of length, because I don't know yet exactly how much ribbon I will need for my journal, but the outside of it won't matter. So let's make this a little easier on ourselves. So I'm going to run a thin strip of Fabri-Tac up and down this outside spine. And put that ribbon down. Now you can see I've got a huge long amount of the ribbon left, and I'm not going to cut that off just yet. Then I'm going to cover that with this, and that will give me, which way do I want it to go? That will be the front of my journal. I think I kind of like the more decorative open edge. It's kind of weird because this trim is not, it's different all the way across, so you don't get the same thing. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this trim down, or yeah, this trim. And first I'm going to get it on the part that has the muslin on it. And then I'll go back and grab the edges. So basically I'm getting the center part first, and it's really difficult for me to tell just how lined up these are. So I'm just going to kind of do it on a wing and a prayer. And now I can go back, now that I can see where my edge lands, I can go back and tack that down. And I may sew right down this edge just to give it a little extra security. I got to see what's going to be on the pages first, but if I'm able to, I may. Okay. So now I've got this, which, like I said, once we have a journal to go in here, this will go up the center of the signature in the journal, and it will tie, if I can find the rest of the ribbon, and I've got plenty of length on it, so that depending on the thickness of the journal, it can still hold it, and I'll be able to tie a bow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match the lengths and snip that off, and that way I've got a little bit of ribbon left that I can use on ephemera and stuff should I choose to. Okay, so now I need, what do I need? I need my fabric scissors. Here they are. So very carefully I'm going to hold this trim because I don't want to cut it, but I do want to trim off some of the excess there, and we're good. I didn't get the ribbon, and now I'm gonna pull it this way and do the same thing on this side. Okay. So now that part of the anatomy is done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to temporarily tie this. It doesn't have to be super pretty or anything, but I kind of want it to be out of my way as much as it can be. All right, so we'll just leave that like that. This is drying, and we'll be ready to go. And in actuality, that is all I'm going to do for this video. I wanted to get this part started before we start on the next piece of anatomy for our junk journal. And in our next video, we're going to start working on this flap, and we're just going to work our way across as best we can. And so be sure to come back for part 3, and we will see how far we can get. Until next time, please be safe, stay healthy, happy crafting, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.